Alright, this video is going to describe a stalking incident that's occurring right now in the world of Warcraft. And I'm doing this one because this just happened and it's fresh. This is an example of how things work in the gaming world with the stalking network. Alright? In Warcraft, there's these things called raids. And it's where you get like, 10 or 25 people together. And you go through, what would the best way to describe it? It would be something like a dungeon, all right, with successions of rooms with things you need to kill, all right, and there's raid bosses in there that drop epic gear and stuff. So I was in a raid a couple weeks ago just to do achievements for my rogue. I was trying to get to the achievement called It's Over 9,000. That means I have over 9,000 achievement points. I did reach that goal a few days ago. I'm eating right now, so I didn't sleep at all last night because the group decided to torture me all night. So I went into this raid. And this is a lower level raid. It's from the last expansion. So it's basically easy. You just have to make sure you don't be totally dumb. And you go through and you just basically cakewalk through the raid and get a bunch of achievements. Alright? That's what we did. Well, what they like to do is they like to affect the raid while it's happening. So there'll be a raid going on, and what was going on in this raid is the things that always go on in raids with me. Is we get verbal stalking in Vent. Vent is a voice over IP program that gamers often use. Vent, TeamSpeak, there's a few of them. So you're on Vent, and you need to be on it because you need to hear the important things about the raid and what boss does what. You need to avoid this. You need to make sure we dispel that. Just make sure you move out of that. In this raid, it hardly matters because it's a low-level raid. So I get all this verbal stalking from people, and that consists of words from the control set and lots of sexual innuendo and stalking. It sounds like a bunch of little kids. I was in a raid once, and the raid leader was smart. And he told everyone in the raid, if you say one word in Vent, you will be kicked from the raid. That is so cool. If you say one word, you're going to be kicked. Yeah? You are here to listen to me. You are here to do what I say. You are not here to chat in raid. You are not here to say anything. It was the best raid I was ever in. There wasn't any stalking the whole time. That guy was he was good. That clan, or guild, was called Generation Halo. I think they broke up. They were good to me, at least on that raid. They actually wanted me to join, but I'd been stalked so many fucking times in raids that I didn't join. That was during Wrath of the Lich King, which is the last expansion. That would have been in 2010 when that happened. So what they like to do is you're going through the raid and they just make things disappear. So you come up to some trash and it just disappears. This thing called the Jormonger just disappeared. I watched it. We come up to it, poof, it just vanishes. And then the raid, the bunch of people, again, many of them are mind controlled and affected by this, begin to start stalking each other and me. So they start saying fantasy. They're for words from the control set that they've all been sensitized to. So that's what it typically looks like. Then you get people harassing you verbally, and they do that by chattering in Vent. It's really dumb. It's very like junior high school-ish. It's pathetic. It's illegal also. It's also against the contract you sign with Blizzard to play their game. It's now Activision, but Blizzard is owned by Activision. So that's happened to me a number of times in raids, just over and over again throughout the years. Starting in Wrath of the Lich King, when I first decided I needed to raid, I didn't raid during Burning Crusade, which was the expansion before Wrath of the Lich King, and the last real good expansion, by the way. The last two have been criticized heavily by real players. They've tried to homogenize the game so it's easier for beginners and stuff, and it just pisses off all the people who know how to play. But another raid I was in about a year ago, a little over a year ago, was the same thing. I went on a trash run. It's called a trash run. It's where you go into a raid, nobody has any gear. You can't fight the bosses because you'll wipe, because you don't have any good gear. You need to gear up a little bit. So you go through and you also get used to the trash, which are the things you kill that are not the bosses. So we were going through trash and they were just dying instantly, you know, and then they start stalking me. Just me. It's just funny. So what the Mind Control Collective does is it produces a thing called problem reaction solution. They cause the problem, which is something disappearing, just vanishing. Ah, poof, there it goes. There goes your trash. Pop, poof. And then everyone starts freaking out, and they start stalking me. And they say things like, how are we going to learn with him here? How are we going to do the blah, 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 blah? And coincidentally, they also give me gear while this is going on. So I'm the only one that gets any gear during that little thing. I got a level 3, I got an epic helmet drop from trash, like, right away. And everyone was harassing me for it because, again, the rotten fucking Stalking Collective wants to make me special. So this is a standard procedure with this group. They do it all over. It doesn't have to be in a game to do problem reaction solution. You can do it anytime. You cause a problem, and then what you do is offer a subliminal reaction. And then the solution. So let's see. Let me think of one right now. In politics. The two Santa Clauses strategy the Republicans are using right now uses some of that. You create a problem or the perception of a problem. Oh, here's a good one. Identity theft. That's a real good one. Okay, when I grew up, identity theft was called fraud. It was called bank fraud. There was nothing called identity theft. That didn't get demo polled, or the consent wasn't manufactured for the idea called identity theft until the 90s. All right, that's when the banking industry decided to create a problem and try to manage the reaction and offer a solution. All right, the problem is that let's see, that your identity gets stolen. Well, it's not your identity. It's called bank fraud. That's what it's called, bank fraud. Okay, identity theft is bank fraud is the bank's problem. All right, it's you lose money, whatever, but it's their problem. It's their system that was exploited to cause the problem. Okay, so it's their problem. Okay, that's how it was for the entire time of our country until the 80s or 90s when they started again the bankers, the banksters that Tom Hartman calls them, the banksters. Came up with this propaganda to say that fraud is now called identity theft. And the reason why they did that is identity theft is you. Identity is you. See? And all of a sudden, so the problem is the theft of your identity. See? That's bullshit. It's called bank fraud. So the reaction to that is that, what is the reaction? Let me think. I think it's actually the bank fraud is the problem. The reaction is to call it identity fraud. The solution is to get deregulated, or something, or regulated. Either way, it doesn't matter. Remember, banks are all about deregulating. They don't want any regulations at all. They don't want people thinking that they have bank fraud. They want to call it identity theft. Okay. excuse me. It's the same thing. So that's kind of a loose example of problem, reaction, solution. If you read any David Icke or some of the other people who wrote about 9/11 and other things that our government pulled off, you'll hear about problem, reaction, solution. All right, this group is all about problem, reaction, solution. They want to give you a problem, they want to manage the reaction, and then they want to give you the solution. So the problem here is, of course, your rights are being violated and you're getting gang stalked. But instead, they want to make the problem mine. So they say things like you're a sex offender, you're a pedophile. You need to steal things. You blah 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 blah. They call you all kinds of designations that are irrelevant. All right. That's supposed to take the gang stalking that's going on, the illegal gang stalking that's going on, and that's supposed to make it your problem. See, it's my fault. So they like to take victims, and then they like to take victims of gang stalking, and they like to make those into another type of victim. All right, and actually, a pedophile or a sex offender would be a perpetrator. So they're trying to tell you that instead of being a victim of gang stalking and illegal implantation of devices, I have one in my ear, I have one in my shoulder, I think I have one in my back. Okay? Those are illegal penetrations, by the way, and are, let's see, highly illegal. It's just like raping someone to stick something into their body without their permission. There's no difference. So the problem is, of course, you're a pedophile. The reaction, of course, is that you need to expose yourself or something. They have a whole list of things they would like me to do. Steal, rape, expose yourself, gang stalk people, interrupt people with offensive commentaries and coughing, interrupting them when I hear their doggy whistle, which is the high-pitched squeal that you hear in your ear whenever you are walking near another targeted individual. After years, you figure that out. That high-pitched squeal for me, by the way, started in 2009, the last time I had sex in October. They decided to pair sex with this high-pitched squeal that people call tinnitus. All right? If you hear people complaining about tinnitus, they are targeted. Anyway, I guess I'll wrap this up. Gang stalking in Warcraft and other games. Your kids play. You play maybe. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've actually perpetrated some of this by harassing people with the words that you hear in your head. There was a guy in that raid called Murdoch. He's a Death Knight. Okay? Since that raid, I've been tortured with his name. And they do that to get me to try to stalk him. All right, that was just a guy that was in the raid. There were 24 other people in that raid. But for some reason, I hear about him. Murdoch! So I've heard of Murdoch's name hundreds and hundreds of times in the last couple of weeks now. With all kinds of negative input mixed with it. All the same control set stuff that you hear that they use to sensitize you to phonemes and interrogate you and then try to get you to displace anger and gang stalk people. That's happened to me numerous times. They've harassed me with the names of other Warcraft players over and over again. It's been probably like 10 of them in the last 4 years. Starting with one called Lois A. Bursey. That was the first one they were trying to get me to stalk. So I heard about Lois A. Bursey endlessly. From her, boom, 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 and that was a female character who lived up in Portland. I talked to her once in Vent. I said, hey, where are you, blah, blah. After that, I was tortured with her object. See? So anyway, yeah, gang stalking in Warcraft, it's alive and well.